and Druid of the Claw. How important is the Shade in this matchup?
Not very, actually. Mainly it comes down to can you deal with the challenger on the turn, the big game hunter or silence being the idea, and can you stay even in the early game? If you can get that rolling, then Shade might be okay, but Shade isn't a minion that can fight Shielded Minibot and muster in the early game or take on a mysterious challenger generally. So it's relatively unimportant, I'd say.
That knife draw for Forsen is pretty huge. He has a lot of opportunities with the Shredder, the Haunted Creeper, and the Muster for battle as well. He can do a lot of damage here and clear the boards.
He might as well check first how the juggle lands, as he can't really go all in on the Muster. I think now he should attack with the Haunted, yeah. Forsen seems to agree. He needs preferably some hits on the Shade.
Yep.
Not taking any damage. I like this idea. Ghost Blaze as well with a 1-1. Now, without a swipe, it's looking kind of rough for Odin. He has the option of Sylvanas or even a Force of Nature. I think I might like Force of Nature better, actually. Keeper, okay. Hero Power's down a 1-1. I think I would have liked Sylvanas better here, actually.
It would have certainly challenged the board, but I think he is a little bit worried of the board pressure that Forsen's building up.
I mean, still, this doesn't deal with anything. This is just a stall really for Odin. So I have to question again his turn 6. I think Sylvanas would have been better in that case. I think Forsen is playing this game perfectly though so far. And I guess the first one as well. Like both players seem to be on point that, but Odin has been stronger on the Paladin, I would have said, than the Druid.
Yeah, now he's looking at the Sylvanas this turn, which. This is one of the problems that I think maybe we're seeing from Odin. He's not necessarily always thinking a few turns ahead.
Yeah.
Because we're seeing that, and it's something that I always like to think about when you think about plays is, am I going to have to play that next turn in float mana? If I play this next turn, am I just going to be playing the same thing next turn anyway? And then it's often just better to play on curve, even if it doesn't feel like the best play right on that turn. To be able to play on curve and then see what you draw. If you'd drawn into a 7-drop there, you would add something like Sylvanas and Doctor Boom on the board, and it would have been a completely different complexion.
Yeah, you gotta play to your hand as well, and play to the matchup. And yeah, I'm not too happy about Odin's play here so far.
And we see a lot of threats being drawn by Forsen. We have Mysterious Challenger, Tyrion, and Doctor Boom all now in hand for Forsen.
Because if we think about the idea now, now Forsen can ignore the Sylvanas. Had he been playing last turn, he couldn't have ignored the Sylvanas. And had he played the Sylvanas the turn before, he could have played a Shade on top of it and had a free shade on board. So that would have been rather big here. He has the combo, but still, the Belcher just denies everything. Mysterious Challenger, Boom, and Tyrion. It looks like Forsen is likely to tie things up here. It's going to be a tough matchup anyway for Druid. It's heavily favored for the Paladin. But still, you still got to, fight for every decision here.
Yep. So the Redemption going to be procced by that Wrath. Lots of spells in the hand for Odin, gets a second Innervate. It's definitely not what he wanted.
Oh no. Combo is almost useless. He has to probably Hero Power, which doesn't feel good.
It looks like he's going into the Shade here, which is the only minion left in his hand. He is going to go for the Hero Power. And yeah, just going to use it as a heal, a 1 health heal here. And I mean, if Tyrion comes down, this game is... This doesn't feel like a Tyrion turn, obviously, because then you can run the Sylvanas into the Tyrion and still potentially steal it.
If you have a swipe, yeah.
But
I think kind of like Mysterious Challenger here instead of Tyrion.
He's looking at killing off the Sylvanas. I guess he wants to play Tyrion, looking at his mana. Yeah, killing off the Sylvanas first.
Yeah, Mysterious Challenger is better than Tyrion. I think Tyrion is the weakest of the 3 options. Yeah. He seems to agree.
It's interesting, he seemed like he was going into the Tyrion there. Killing off the Sylvanas seemed to indicate that. But he opted against it, and you could see he reached for it.
There was no reason not to kill Sylvanas there, I guess. But his idea may be, okay, now I have more Secrets onto the board, and it's going to be less likely that I'll top take a Secret next turn, or the turn after that. And I do like this a lot here. Now this could possibly, like if he plays a Dr. Boom, that could just be Big Game Huntered, or, a Tyrion isn't a lot of pressure on its own, it's more over a few turns, but the most aggressive option, I think, is the Mysterious Challenger in this position.
Yep, with things like Avenging, Competitive Spirit, Forsen can really build up this board here to the point where he can close out this game fairly quickly, potentially.
Believe so, yeah. We talk about also the redemption being huge against Druid here. I believe it's probably going to be Competitive Spirit here instead of redemption as the fourth secret. I believe so.
Well, he's just going to have to use the combo here. Try and clear.
This is not pretty though. This may come down to the rope.
Yeah, he's going to have to wait for all these secret animations.
I think he has. I think he got it off though. If we look at the
I mean, we're looking at things from Forsen's perspective, so we'll see if Odin managed to clear everything up. Looks like he did. Yep, so he's managed to clear everything except the 1-1, which is a Competitive Spirit. So it's a 2-2 now rather than a 1-1. But it directly challenges the Shade, actually. So even that 1-1 off the Competitive Spirit onto the Silverhand recruit is relevant here.
Oh yeah.
And then just Tyrion on an empty board, sets himself up for lethal next turn. And I think we can go ahead and call this one for Forsen.
I do believe so, yeah. There's some ideas. It gets the keeper actually, but it's not gonna be enough though. I believe, yeah, this doesn't change. Oh, 7 health actually. Still, it won't change enough. So Forsen is gonna tie this up now, and it's gonna be 1-1.
I know obviously Odin's pretty much out of this game here, but would you not innovate the hero power there? Because you can see 7 damage presented on board, and if you innovate out the hero power, you give yourself at least a slim chance of survival, right? So
he might as well, yeah.
He's got to be thinking about that. I mean, he's sitting with 2 innervates in hand with nothing to do. You've got to think, yeah, so he is going to go for that, just to give himself something of a chance of still staying in the game. But unfortunately, Coghammer in hand for Forsen is exactly what he needed to do that extra 1 damage. But, you know, we talked about in the last match about Paladin not having a huge amount of damage to put on the board in 1 turn, so I can see why Odin would have gone for that. But Tyrion got his Divine Shield and his taunt back, and then Forsen was able to level up the game. So that's going to be 1-1. As I say, we have the Warrior and the Druid left for Odin, and the Druid and the Hunter left for Forsen. So Paladin's out of it now.
I guess if we assume there's going to be Patron, then I would give a slight edge to Odin. It depends a bit on how the queuing happens here, who gets lucky with the matchups. I think Forsen is probably very safe to go with the Druid, and then if Odin realizes that, then he should go with the Druid himself. So I would expect the Druid mirror right now. We do see Druid versus Hunter, but it's going to be Forsen at the top though here in this case. I believe, yeah. It should be Forsen on the Hunter and Odin on the Druid.
Yeah, so we'll just get that. We'll get that fixed for you in a second. Obviously, it's a little bit messed up in the overlay there, but this will be Odin on the Druid.
Now against Phase Hunter, Druid is actually favored now after the Darnassus change. Slightly favored. It used to be unfavored, but yeah, just one swipe or Darnassus makes everything fall apart at this point. Obviously, you can draw bad hands and fall apart yourself as the Druid, but it's just not that common. So I would give Odin a huge chance here, as he is playing the Druid. Now,
look, this isn't Face Hunter, this is looking more like a Hybrid Hunter.
A Hybrid Hunter still, that's a weak deck at the moment. Yeah, it's not something that's played by the top pros right now.
Yeah, mid-range Hunter seems to be the most favoured of the Hunter variants, if we are seeing it, but Hunter does seem to be possibly even like the 5th class at the moment, the 5th best class possibly.
Even 6th, yeah.
Yeah.
Like 6th or 7th maybe. No, I would put it at 7th.
So you can Warrior, Paladin, Druid, Warlock, Mage,
Priest, and then
Priest.
Hunter. Yeah.
Just ahead of the Shaman and the Rogue. Wow, Hunter, which has dominated for so long, a little bit out of favour, but Forsen has always favoured the Hunter, I think. And,
I'm talking, I guess, about this Hunter. There's some playable ideas with the mid-range Hunter, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Forsen, it's obviously it's safe to say that Forsen focuses on streaming more than competing, and he doesn't always seem to be playing the cutting edge of the meta decks. He seems to rely perhaps on decks he's played more often, decks he's played for a long time, and you can see possibly that's why he's bringing something like the Hybrid Hunter.
If that isn't, yeah, if this is Forsen, but I do believe he's the one playing the Hunter here. Now there is a deck with Argent Horse Riders, for example. Loatheb and kill commands cuts to Savannah, and that's actually decent against a lot of decks. For example, Patron. But now here, I think Harrison might be the play. Is that possible?
He's also thinking about the swipe, I think. Can clear out the Haunted Creeper here and then just swipe face and clear the board.
Yeah, you should maybe think about trying to proc a snake trap though.
Yeah.
Or he's thinking about a bear trap even. I guess he's already attacked the Haunted Creeper, so the snake trap wasn't an option
wasn't
there.
snakes. But it's good to proc that secret. I think more against Hunter than against Paladin, procking the secrets early can be quite important, and being able to be in control of that situation. A Leok for Forsen is not what he was looking for. Not always Huffer today. And Odin going to go into the card draw here.
Even, yeah. He has to figure what he's playing against. That he's actually playing against the Savannah variant with Arcane Golems.
Yeah, the freezing trap kind of gives away that it is going to be more Savannah. This is the Leok's a little bit unfortunate because the Savannah Jaime can die to the big game hunter here.
Now, which player is going to be unhappy? We're going to guess. See who's actually okay.
Forsen's not happy with that one.
Definitely the one playing the hunter then.
Yeah.
Can even go for the. I guess through the claw is better, yeah, than the Forsen nature. But it's so bold to go for the draw with the Ancient of Lord there as the druid. He could afford it maybe.
Yeah, I think he was just at the life total here. He could afford it. If it was 14 or 12, a little bit, just a tiny bit lower, he might have felt a little bit less secure with things like kill commands, quick shots, arcane golems, and when you're putting minions on the board, you also have to consider Unleash the Hounds.
Now, if we talk about the plays, I think it's been on point from both players here. But with the picks, I would have liked Forsen to play the hunter first, because he's got druid and hunter to face. If he's playing against druid and hunter, druid and warrior, there's no bad matchup for the druid there. But if we're looking at that hunter, there are bad matchups. But I guess he's kind of all in here, and is he gonna get punished? Actually, yes. I think Forsen might be used defensively even. It draws the. I believe the Savage Robe will be lethal here, but maybe wanting to have had that 5 heal at this point.
He can clear the board though if he wants. He could go for the Force of Nature and then slam down something like a Doctor Boom, but goes for the Azure Drake first.
Yeah, I think that would have been a better play. Can I guess? Yeah, you can go for Force Nature and Hero Pout on the 1/1. I think that's probably strongest out of this position, but Doctor Boom would just have been better.
He might.
Way, yeah, more pressure.
He could possibly trade one of his minions, possibly even trade away his 4/2, just to reduce any potential hound damage coming in.
Whoa, 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 that was a misplay.
Oh, he's just... Okay, yeah, so he... Oh! Okay, he's just leaving the Leopard Gnome up. I guess he doesn't want to take that 2 damage from the Death Rattle, but...
The thing is still, like, it matters in terms of dealing damage to the Hunter. It does become a race at some point, and having every damage will count. The 4 extra damage next turn might be the difference between winning and losing. I think...
This is a very bold line of play from Odin, but it could well pay off for him. I mean, the mark of a good mid-range player is knowing when to switch from being defensive to aggressive, and that Sludge Belcher coming in for Odin could be really useful here. He wants to hero power really badly, but if he hero powers here to heal for 1, he can't play anything else this turn.
I think Shredder might have to be the play. He's gonna need to trade though. Depends a bit. I guess he could technically leave the Loatheb up, trade the 4/4 into the 3/2 and go face. Because I mean, he won't die to an owl. An owl would be probably the best scenario there. I think Odin is just messing up. He doesn't look confident at all in this play. He's questioning it again and again here. So
I like the double trade. I think that is probably the right line of play.
I mean, what do you die to though? Like, in this case here, he doesn't threaten lethal, and if he leaves the Loatheb up but has the Belch on board, he does threaten lethal because he gets 5 damage to face, puts him at 10 then instead. It won't then end up mattering, but
yeah,
I guess no, it could actually end up mattering.
Forsen has the Eagle Horn Bow here, so Odin can play the Belcher and the Harrison Jones. Is that lethal? That's lethal with the swipe.
Yeah. But without the swipe, I mean, he could have had a possible owl or I guess quick shot into Owl or quick shot into basically anything.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. If the swipe hadn't come into hand there, the Harrison and the Belcher would have been the obvious play, and then there were actually quite a few outs for Forsen there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You have the quick, as you say, the quick shot, the kill command, the Owl would have been very, very devastating. But Odin is going to go 2-1 up here on match point, and with Warrior, you would assume perhaps Patron Warrior, but actually we saw in the qualifiers just take quite a lot of Control Warrior.
The fatigue style has been coming back a lot with the bash and the Justicar, and we actually do say that this is going to be
a Control Warrior, yeah.
I like the keeping of the Fire Warlocks with now the Danasis and the Paldir Sweater being played. But yeah, Forsen is going to be the one on top again here. But overall, I think Forsen has probably played the series better. It's kind of sad to see him down here 2-1.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. He finds himself in not a great position. But what do you make of the matchup with the Druid versus the Control Warrior?
It's heavily favored like it was before. It's actually slightly worse for the Druid than it used to be, as Danasis isn't that strong against Warrior. It just gets countered by, yeah, pretty much the weapons that Druid has at its disposal. So I guess to mention this double brawl style is also decent against Warrior, but he's going face, okay.
The Gorhau in the Control Warrior of Odin is very old school. It's not a card that you see too often in Warrior these days, particularly with all the new cards coming from TGT, like Justicar, for example.
The thing is, though, Justicar allows you more armor, so you can actually use the Gorhau for value better than you used to be able. So if he's playing Gorhau, I would guess he's playing Justicar and double brawl, and probably a lot of armor spells in terms of Bash and Shield Maiden, because if you can get a full 7 attack swing with the Gorhau, you just win the game on both tempo, I guess, and value.
If we're seeing double brawl, an extra weapon, and bash, you would anticipate that this is a Control Warrior very much tuned against patrons.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And Control Warrior, it's still favored against Patron Warrior. The matchup has been getting a little bit closer, I think, because people have teched the Patron Warrior deck. But Control Warrior is still favored.
But yeah, this is even with the Harrison, which would be, I guess, the best tech card. I think Control Warrior is stronger than it's ever been against Patron right now, actually, with the bash, with all the extra taunts and all those weapons. Now I think it's actually a fatigue Warrior though, with Justicar. Shield Maiden, it's not early enough though. I guess he may have to possibly just attack with the Acolyte into the Emperor and see what he's going to get. Despite into it to finish it off and then hope to get something next turn.
Yeah, he really needs to kill this this Emperor Thorson here. Can't afford to let it get off at a second proc. But the only way he can do that is by taking another 5 damage to face. And he can't even armor up again unless he decides to use the coin. And he's probably looking at wanting to use the coin next turn for either Gorhau or Dr. Boom.
I mean, Brawl is a possibility. He's so far behind that it's going to be his best option, maybe.
There's Gromash. He is just going to use the Death Spite, I think. So a little bit of BM coming in from Forsen there.
Maybe I'm crazy enough to actually go for the Brawl there. I would have felt so far behind as the Warrior that I might have considered it. But now Big Game Hunter is a card here for Odin, but the Brawl has to be the answer, right?
Yeah, you would think so, but if these bombs go to face for anywhere, well, I'm just looking at the damage that can come in from Forsen.
I mean, he has to hope that the bomb will survive, I believe.
Yeah, he has to hope so, because if these bombs do 6 damage to face, Forsen has lethal. So 1 bomb does survive, so that's going to be okay for now, I think. Well,
it's not a...
3 damage can come in from this...
Yes, that's lethal. If
yeah, so you can do 5 with the Savage Roar and then double.
This depends now.
Oh, goes to kill the ball. Well, that is definitely lethal now.
8, so a lot of outs. I guess Swipe would be the...
Yeah, not quite lethal here. Swipe would be lethal.
But at Ancient of Lore is just good enough. You just Ancient of Lore and then win next turn. That's generally the idea.
It's a pretty good idea. Yeah, if he can make pretty much anything stick on the board here, with Savage Roar he is lethal, so...
But I guess there's going to be the Shield Maiden and Shield Slam follow-up, so they might actually get Odin back into this game here.
It's possible he's not out of this yet. Warrior can make these amazing comebacks. You see it every so often. If you just get so much armor gain. And if you were to draw into something like a Justicar for turn 8, That'd be absolutely huge.
It is, yeah. You just need to stabilize as the warrior to have a chance now. A very easy turn here for Odin, I believe.
Yeah, Shields Maiden, Shield Slam clears the board. So Forsen's up to 13 health here, and he's, I mean, unless a Force of Nature had been drawn there, which it wasn't. So Force of Nature is what Odin's looking at here for lethal. Slams down an Ancient of War. Only thing Forsen could possibly do is brawl that to clear it.
I believe you mean Odin, yeah.
Oh, sorry, yes, Odin.
Now, Gorehal will be a possibility, but it would just be so much of a health loss here. Yeah, I mean, is that a possibility, just going for the Gorehal? Dr. Boom possibly even? I mean, he's got to figure he dies to combo. He doesn't have the liberty to really play around combo. I think playing around combo here is a mistake. I think you just have to be greedy and hope he doesn't have it, you know.
But even if he doesn't have combo, he has quite a lot of outs if you don't kill the Ancient of War.
Yeah. I guess if you go with Boom though, I mean, you have 11 health, or 7 health, sorry. Number of things now. Is this going to be lethal?
Not quite. Double Keeper the silence, and then he can hit for 9 with the swipe. He can't quite do double Savage Roar as well, just a little short on mana.
Yeah, he needs 1 in the way for this play here. I don't know about the Keeper then, if that's going to be the case, because he could have just hit into it pretty easily. Maybe double Keeper and just hope to finish it off with the swipe next turn. Keeper Savage Roar now, go face, but then obviously you are in trouble against an Alex Twasa, which we do know that Odin has. Yeah, I think Forsen does not look happy with himself. This may be, I think, his first misstep in the tournament.
It's a very difficult turn to know how to play, though. It's very difficult to know how to play against the warrior, because you want to kill him in a couple of turns, but he could draw into life gain, and then you're in a really bad position.
Oh, he should have attacked first, right? Oh, okay. Interesting line.
Yeah, using the Keeper attack there. There is the bash.
I think this will confirm it being a fatigue warrior here. Brawl is just going to be his best out. Forsen doesn't look happy, so maybe... Yeah.
Oh, the Ancient of War survives for Forsen. And that's, I think that's going to be it. I don't see any way that Odin can come back here. He can bash to gain armor. He gains 3 armor, but double Savage Roar is going to be enough for Forsen to level this game up.
Yeah, 2-2 now. I think every game now, Forsen has just been playing slightly better, I have to say. I guess except the Paladin Mirror, which I think both players are on point, but the turns kind of play themselves. But I mean, what we've seen so far, I think Forsen should be more likely to take this series here. 2-2, game 5 here in the first match of the GIGACON playoffs. Yeah,
so it's going to be a 5-game series straight away, and we're obviously waiting for the second half of the top 16 to get underway once we finish this match. But it's going to be the Hunter of Forsen versus the Control Warrior of Odin. A very controlling Hunter, lots of armor gain, the weapons. Who do you favor in this matchup?
I actually kind of like the Warrior, if I had to pick. Now the Hunter can get a good start, but it just depends a bit on the hand. If the Warrior draws a mediocre hand, I would give the Warrior the edge, but the Warrior does not look to be too good here. Forsen obviously on the Hunter here, Odin on the Warrior. The Abusive Shard, I think this is absolutely the right play. Now the Fiery Warlock saves him completely here, that's everything. Forsen not happy. Yeah, this actually changes the entire game. Without that Fiery Warlock, there's not much of an answer anywhere. A Hero Pawn turn 2 and Forsen does not look happy. 2 kill commands, an Owl. Both the kill commands are dead. The Owl is dead as well right now. And the Freezing Top. Every single card except the Glaive Suka is just late game. And even the Abusive isn't that strong now. The Big Hunter comes down.
I like that tempo BGH quite a bit. I do think the shield block would have been an okay play as well. Or even just armoring up and passing, because we see with the Deathbite in hand, there are 4 turns of clear from Odin. So anything Forsen plays is pretty much going to get cleared at this stage.
I actually think this may not be the right play from Forsen. If you look at the idea now, he wants him to at least get some bonus damage from the Glaive-Suka, but I think in this case, a turn 5 coin out the Savannah would be his best bet to come back now, and Armor Smith is strong as well. Is Odin just running away with this game here?
It's quite possible, and this is what Control Warrior can do. It can just get these amazing starts.
Arcane Golem, oof.
It's going to charge into the Armor Smith maybe, or?
Yeah, this is disaster here, just a complete disaster for Forsen. It's going to be 2 mana behind now, and the Harrison Jones, oh my god, this is
absolutely disgusting.
You can actually execute the Arcane Golem, so there's going to be no doubt what's going to be happening here. Harrison Jones coming down, oof.
Yeah, just everything that could have gone wrong for Forsen in this matchup here has gone wrong.
Yeah, a mediocre hand, I'd say, from the Warrior even. I guess with that Armor Smith maybe becomes even slightly above average, but you know, Forsen destroying completely dead here. There's not much you can do in these sort of situations. So, yeah, he has the right idea with the Frisian Trap, but it's going to be enough.
Yeah, so the Harrison Jones is going to get frozen. We do have Shield Maiden, Unstable Ghoul, all these options available for Odin here.
I can take the hit.
Could have even gone with the Ghoul into a shield block there.
I actually like just not attacking with the Harrison, to be honest. I mean, if he can possibly bounce the Shield Maiden, it's going to be better in the long run. As he doesn't need to draw at this point, he has more cards than he'll have mana to use, but having possibly more armor might be very strong now. He's just going face, I guess.
Well, he's going to trade.
Okay.
Means that this Unstable Ghoul can't die unless something else happens.
And Odin going for the Celebrate here on turn 8. He knows what's up, and that Forsen is probably not going to have enough to deal with this here.
I think just seeing what your opponent's played for the past 7 turns, you know he's had a bad hand.
Oh, yeah.
You know that Forsen's not drawing well.
I mean, seeing the Arcane Golem coming down on the Armor Smith is just exactly what you want to see, and Harrison as well. Yeah, he has to feel really far ahead. This is just lethal, actually. No, one off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just one off lethal. Can't believe it, and it's going to kill both of the minions on board. That's absolutely disgusting. Turn 9, one off lethal. And Forsen goes ahead and concedes. Odin is going to advance in the tournament. Forsen is eliminated in our very first match of the day. A bit of a shock here, Kaldi.
Absolutely, yeah, but he played better. It's what I've been talking about. It's a shame to see him go out here.
Yeah, he definitely, I think it's fair to say that just the cards were not in his favour in that last matchup. I think it's possibly the most one-sided version of that matchup I think I've ever seen in a tournament. The Controller just drew the exact answers, drew the Fiery War Axe perfectly, and the Hunter just had a horrendous start.
The Hunter deck didn't look that solid, though, I have to say, overall. But Forsen just drew completely dead in the Paladin Mirror, completely dead in the last game, and the Druid draw from Odin was really strong as well. So things just didn't really pan out for Forsen. He's out now around the 16. Odin advancing. Believe he's going to face Cypher or his opponent Kolbeinn, on Norwegian player, in the next round. So being excited to see about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring you our next match from the round of 16, which I believe is going to be Schismatron versus Martin Creek.
Oh, yeah.
Battle of 2 friends, former teammates, Swedish players. That's going to be very interesting. We're going to go to a very quick commercial break now, and we will see you in just a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Hearthstone from GIGACON 2015.